Hey, what is up, goons? Welcome back to another video. So this one's going to be a little bit of a different one. We're going all the way to the car stuff now. So this is my second time recording it because the audio wanted to mess up on the first one. But today we're going over the first drift car choices. So this is going to be for me personally, although I believe this would be a good list for anyone that's also looking into getting into their first drift car. This is a pretty basic list. It covers what you need to get your first seat time car, and I think it's going to be a good list for people trying to start out just like me, because I'm not super mechanically inclined or anything like that, and I'm just getting into this stuff, so I want it to be simple and to get seat time, because that's the recipe for winning, So a part of the reason I'm doing all this is because I want to get my first drift car by the time I turn 21, and I want to be drifting on a circuit, this little track near my house, by 21, which is in 5 months. So that's crazy. Originally, I planned on going to Vegas and all that bullshit, drinking, whatever. But who wants to do that when you can go drifting, right? So I want to be in my first drift car, and this is going to be a little list of kind of what I'm looking at. Obviously, if something catches my eye and it's a good price and the location is good, maybe I'll go with that. But this is a general basis. If you guys don't like these cars, like I said, it's personal preference. So, it's not like each one's better than the other, This is just what I personally am looking at. So, let's get right into it. So, the first car, come on, guys. It's going to be a 240, right? All my homies watching right now like, yo, come on, bro. So, I drive an S13 myself, so I'm pretty familiar. I've had two S13s. I'm pretty familiar with the 240s. Not super like everyone else, but I've had my time in it just a little bit, and dude, they're fun cars, man. Super balanced chassis, and we'll get into all that, but they also look amazing, as you can see. So I got a couple pros and cons here and a little discussion. So the 240SX as a drift car. So we're gonna start off with the pros. It's obviously rear-wheel drive, which you need to get drifting, right? It's the #1 requirement, basically. Like I said, it's a balanced chassis, so super easy to transition and to start getting that angle in and, start drifting, right? It's lightweight, so that's going to really help you to get sliding. You don't want a super heavy car or nothing. I just banged the fuck out of my elbow, dude. So, another thing is tons of aftermarket support. I've learned this personally because I have an S13. Like I said, I've had one for 2 years now, basically, two different ones. And the aftermarket support is phenomenal for this car. Obviously, there's some very hard things to get, like the fuel rail or whatever. Stuff like that is kind of annoying, but you can find aftermarket stuff for it that fixes the problem. So, also, knowledge. The forums cover just about any question you have. So, you don't have to be some idiot that goes on the Facebook 240 forum and, hey, guys, how do I change this fuel pump or whatever? Like, no. Everything is there for you. So, another thing, they look dope as shit. Come on, guys. I was going to say this. I daily in S13. I love how they look. They're awesome looking. They're great cars, honestly. Another thing, they're easy to fix. If I can fix it, damn well you can too. Your boy is not a mechanic, and I'm still learning quite a bit. So, the problems that there is, like I said, you check the forums, it's all there. I've done a manual swap, personally. And it wasn't that hard. I mean, obviously, taking the trans out and stuff, it was a little hard, but it took 3 days. That was my first time. I just pulled another trans, actually, the other day. It took, like, 5 hours. So I'm getting better, but it's easy. Like, if you put the time into it, and obviously, a drift car is going to be your second car. Don't daily your drift car. It's going to be my #1 piece of advice, all right, guys? I mean, some people do it, and they get away with it, but I'm just saying, I don't recommend it, So, let's go over the cons real quick, because, of course, the 240s are going to have, like, cons for sure. So, rust. That's why I sold my first S13, and one of the reasons that kind of drives me away from 240s, right? So, rust is going to be a huge thing. These cars are old. These cars are beat to absolute shit and not cared for most of the time, right? So, rust is going to be a very common thing. You won't have your passenger floorboard and all kinds of stuff like that. Your rockers are going to be gone. Everything is just going to be fucked, right? Because people just don't care. So, that's the #1 thing to look for. If you're buying a 240, look out for rust, okay? I'm not even kidding. if I go on if I go to look at a car, like a 240, for example, I literally tell them to jack it up in the air and let me see the underneath, because I just don't trust the seller most of the time. Also, 240 people usually suck for some reason, but you'll learn something new every day. Maybe it's just my area, all right? I'll be easy with it. So, another thing, I'm rambling. So, drift tax. That's the next big thing with 240s, right? Everyone wants a 240. We all know it. They look awesome. They slide awesome, and they're rowdy, right? So, obviously, more demand, less supply, or however that goes, because people are crashing them into walls every day and they're just dying and returning to the earth. They're going to cost more money because they're getting rare, right? So you're going to be paying a pretty penny. If you're getting a 240, it's going to cost a little bit of money for sure. But, you know, you won't lose money on it really unless you destroy it. But I mean, that goes with anything, I guess. And it also, you know, it holds its own. So, because 240s are sick. So another con is they're a little bit slower, the KA24DE or K24E, I guess, if you're going for 90 or 89 model or whatever. The single jingle. This is gonna be really slow. I wouldn't recommend that, but people do it for sure. I'd recommend the dual cam. It's still a little bit slow for sure. It's like a Miata almost, damn near. It's like 130 horsepower now. That's 30 years old. So it's a little bit slower side of engines. But this does not mean you can't slide it. I've seen people, they still get rowdy with it, still get sideways. It's all kind of a skill issue. It's all driver oriented. So, another thing, it's an older car, right? They're 30 years old now, 25 years old. It's going to break. Stuff's going to break. Suspension parts, plastics, bushings, everything, anything you can think of, right? All of these things are going to break. And people kind of suck most of the time and don't replace them. So if you get one, go over the car, you know, look underneath it, do some maintenance, please. If you're gonna get into drifting, make sure your car is good at first. Don't go throwing around a piece of garbage, because the only thing you can expect is just some garbage, right? You get in what you put out. So yeah. So overall discussion, like I said, I'm an owner of a 240 myself. I have a S13 and absolutely love 240s. It'd be super fun to thrash one. Straight drift missile 240 would be sick. And I could learn more about the car, right? I'd be able to work on it more, and really just dive deep into everything that's in it and learn how to change stuff even quicker, right? So I could transfer that to my car, which would be awesome, I'm not gonna lie. And it's a great chassis, like I said. Controllability, amazing, and you can drift in style. So just wanted to make this one a little quick, because I go over 240s quite a bit, right? But let's see what the next one is. Also, I love 240s, man. A drift 240 would be sick. Alright, next one up. The 240's brother, right? 350Z. You can't go wrong with a 350. I'm sure if you were watching this video, you've seen many 350s on the track or on the drift scene, whatever. They're everywhere. They're great cars. They rip. They do what they're supposed to. And almost a better pick than a 240, but not as stylish, I'd say. So, the pros and cons of the 350Z as a drift car, right? So, obviously, rear-wheel drive. You need that. Great handling chassis. That's why most people get into these. Aftermarket support, just like the 240. Insane, right? There's so much you can do with this car. It looks great. You have a lot of room to make it your own, which I wrote down. That can go for the 240 as well, and the next car. But no, you can do whatever you want with it. I see all kinds of different builds, and they're really easy to make look good, and they're really easy to make look bad. So take that as you will. So another thing, really good power for the price you pay, right? So a 240, you're gonna pay about the same as a 350. It's probably like $8 grand or so for a clap 240 and a running 350 that doesn't look the prettiest. But you're gonna get a lot more power out of that 350, right? The 350 is gonna come stock just almost basically double the 240's power. But you know, 240 is kind of sick. Drift shit, you know, whatever. So you decide what you want, right? So cons. It sounds like a VQ. And it looks like a VQ. It's a VQ. The VQ sounds terrible. I mean, unless you do it right, which is rare. Honestly, if you ever go to the track and you hear a fucking trumpet, there's a couple of VQs there, right? So you gotta do it right. They can sound good, I won't lie. I'm not gonna hate on them that much like my buddy would. Uh, but most of the time they sound terrible. I don't know why people do that so often, but to each their own. Next thing, drift tax. Just like the 240. These are getting expensive, right? It's the same thing. People are smashing them into walls. They're breaking them. Doing fucking who knows what with them, right? So there's less supply, more demand. It's going to go up in price. I guarantee you, watch it in a couple years. They're going to be very expensive. Just like 240s. 240s are going to get even more expensive too. So that's kind of why I want to get into it now. We'll see how much I can do, you know. I'd love to obviously see as far as I can go. But we'll see, right? See what happens. So, another thing, maintenance. When something does break on these cars, although they perform absolutely great, right? But the maintenance on these cars kinda a little sucky, right? Compared to a 240, a little four-banger, if you keep the engine in it, aka super easy to work on. Whereas a 350 is a little bit harder to work on. You got a V6, a little cramped in there. But people do it. You know, I'm not saying it's not doable. It's definitely doable. You just have to learn the car, obviously, and be a little bit more inclined, I'd say, mechanically, than a 240, because a 240, I feel like you can just hop in and kind of know, but you can learn in a 350, so that's not too bad of a con. You gotta watch out, though, for some very bad years of the 350. I believe it's the 04 and a few others that are like the rev up, and they just destroy oil. They just hate it, bro. The engine just like, get oil out of here. I don't know why, but they were designed like that. So you can see that on all the forums. They're like, don't buy these specific years. So make sure you get the correct model. There's some with the Brembos and all that are all fancy or nice, but obviously those are gonna drive a pretty penny. So, you know, keep an eye out. If you can get a good deal on one with lower miles, you don't have to really care what it looks like because it's a drift missile. That's the way to go, right? Great car, great power. You really can't go wrong with a 350, I'd say. So, like I said, the 350 is a great option to get into drifting. It might be harder to get started because the car is kind of weird to understand. Like the steering angle and everything, I've heard is a little different with the chassis. But once you get it and the learning curve is gone, the car is rowdy as hell. I see people all the time just ripping them down the track, right? It proves itself as a great drift car, and you really can't go wrong with one. Unless you overpay, then, you know, it kind of goofed. But they're great cars. Aftermarket support is insane, and you just can't go wrong. Alright, can you guys guess the next car? What we got? I'll give you guys like 2 seconds. Who would have thought, baby? E36. I got way too much hype for this one, man. So, I don't know anything about Beamers, right? I put this on the list because it is a great car, a great drift car for sure, and a great car, obviously. But I don't know too much about Beamers, but I'm willing to give it a chance. If I see one for a good deal, and it's in the location that I need it to be, I'll give it a shot. I'll look at it, right? But I don't know too much about these cars, so... And I'm not the biggest fan of the look, but maybe it'll grow on me. Like this one in the picture, I could dig that one, right? That one looks pretty nice. But the stock ones, man, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan, but like I said, great drift car. Doesn't matter 100% what it looks like, because you're just learning, right? So if it rips, it ships. So let's check it out. So the pros of the E36/328i, which is the Beamer, right? Rear-wheel drive, just like the other two. Great weight distribution. It's a great chassis. You're able to throw it around with ease and steeze, you know. Start learning how to drift. Get some seat time. All the good things, right? And another thing, great aftermarket support, just like the other two as well. All three of these kind of share the same pros and cons-ish. It just depends what kind of car you want to go with, right? And how much you're willing to pay. So, the support for aftermarket in these, absolutely insane. Just like the 350, the 240, I mean, you can't go wrong. They're making brand new parts for these cars every day. And super easy car to hop into. I see beginners literally just get right into it and start drifting, and then they rip, man. You really can't go wrong with one of these cars. It has good angle for, you know, what you got, basically. A great engine until it breaks, because it's a BMW. So that's the next point. BMW, right? They're great until they're not. So it kind of, you know, they provide great value when they're running great, and then once it breaks, it's gonna be a bitch, right? I've always heard this about Beamers. It's gonna be hard to maintenance them and, you know, take care of them, but I'm sure it's a little exaggerated, just like anything else. As long as you take care of it the right way, I think it'll treat you good, because you see them all the time on the track just ripping it. So cons, what we got? So limited angle without a kit, right? This is one of the cars where without an angle kit, you might not get as much angle to slide, right? As much as you want, basically. Sorry guys, I'm hella tired right now. I'm forgetting what I'm saying almost. But yeah, no, it's gonna be a little bit harder to get that angle, right? And if you're first starting out, I would recommend not getting an angle kit, because everyone says start on a good stock car and then try not to spend a bunch of money, because you want to get seat time, right? It's not about spending money and just looking the coolest at the drift track. It's actually about drifting, right? So your angle's gonna be a little bit, you know, temporary for a while, unless you upgrade the angle kit, and then get an angle kit, then you're good to go. So next one, a little bit heavy compared to the others. The 240 being the lightest, obviously. The BMW, I believe, matching near the 350. So a little bit harder to throw around since it's heavier, but you weld the diff and you throw some angle on that bad baby, you're gonna be ripping, right? So that shouldn't be too bad once you get some driver skill and some seat time. Like I said, you should be able to take care of that. All these things aren't really that bad when it comes to these cars, because these cars are pretty presentable when it comes to drifting. So just like the other two shared, drift tax, right? These cars are getting insanely popular, just like the others. So they're getting expensive, right? Which sucks, man. This sport is getting expensive. As a broke college student, kind of sucks. Because I want to get into this stuff, but you know, you gotta pay the price to play the game, right? So drift tax on all three of these. You're gonna have to watch out for that. If you get a good deal, take it and run, right? So another thing, these cars are also 20 years old, 25 years old. Older stuff's gonna break, just like I said with the 240. The 240 is the leader when it comes to stuff's gonna break, though, because man, their plastics and stuff are made out of peanut brittle. So, but the BMW, not as bad, but definitely the door cards and stuff like that. I've seen someone just rip it right off, like without even trying. So stuff's gonna break. You know, you gotta watch out for that. Maintenance as much as you can, and take care of the car. Although it's gonna be a beater, I still like to take care of my cars personally. So another con, BMW. Like I said, it's a pro. They're great until they're not. So fixing them is a little bit of a pain in the ass, is what I've heard. So you take that as you will, you know. It'll help you learn how to work on Beamers, and I'm sure once you start working on them a little bit, you'll get the hang of it, just like the 350. And for me personally, because I have experience with the 240, it's easy, right? So overall, the E36 BMW 328i is going to be a great car. I know the least about it, right? But I see them all the time. 100% certified ripper. I've heard from many people. Although once it's broken, it's gonna suck to fix a little bit, but it's always out on the track. I see people just lap after lap just destroying it, right? So a bunch of potential for future stuff. You could throw an angle kit on it, different engine, upgrade the engine, all kinds of stuff you can do these cars, and it really never ends, honestly. With all three of these cars are never ending, and you can literally just build it exactly how you want and just do crazy stuff, right? So that's the thing I love most about all three of these, is once you get in it, you're kind of set. Just get seat time and practice, and you'll get there in no time, honestly. So hopefully I get a drift car soon, right? In my previous video, it was door dashing till I get a drift car, but I think I'm gonna get one a little bit sooner than that. But time will tell, you know. Only time will tell. So I can't tell you guys what I got in and the curtains behind me, you know, or however that shit goes. I'm so tired. Yeah, we got plans, so we'll see what happens. Like I said, in 5 months I turn 21. I'd love to get on the track. I'd love to be in my own car drifting, and hopefully you guys have a goal just like mine, and hopefully this list helped out a little bit in buying your next drift car or first drift car. Obviously, it's not the most in depth list, but it's just a little something I put together, you know, for you guys to check out and maybe be on the same page with me, and see pros and cons, see which one you like the most, and just for me personally, I'll be looking at these. I'll do some research on them. I'll be looking on Marketplace and all the websites to see if I get a good deal, you know, and if the location is good, we'll pull the trigger on it maybe. So hopefully everything works out, you know. Hopefully I got a drift car soon, and hopefully you guys do too, you know. Hopefully you like this list. Like I said, there's no specific order, although I do like the 240, I can't lie. There's no specific order. All these cars are great, so don't come at me with hate. You know, some Beamer boys gonna hate me because I don't know about the car. But nah, hopefully you guys like this list. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.